Hey up everybody and welcome back. Well, not a lot happening here. As you've seen, the weather's up and down all over the place. We've got more subscribers, so welcome to all of you and welcome to the workshop. And this week, as the title suggested, we're going to try and get to our rolling chassis stage. As you can see, we've got a nice shiny black frame here and lots of other shiny black things about. Some nice new Hagen rear suspension units. Got what else we got? Nice new chromed front fork oil seals, so we'll get the forks done and put in, and the headlight put in, and the rear suspension units on, the back mudguard, rear light, as much as we can. I've got a little bit of work to do on that front plate that goes in here because I've got a slightly larger ignition switch, so I've had to redo the hole. So you'll see that, and we've got a hole in that has to be repaired, and I'm going to do a different method of repair on that for you to see. This is actually Sunday, so I've just posted the video you watched last week, so I haven't seen any comments, as I'm sure there will be some from the BSA boys, about the valves. I showed you the head and told you about the valves, so I haven't done any research on that. So because of that, I don't really want to start the engine until I'm ready to go. I mean, we could build right up to the cylinder head, and that means we could put it in here, but I'm leaving that for the moment. And as I say, what I want to try and do now is put the forks together and all that sort of thing and get the wheels in, because one thing we still have to do once we get the 21-inch front wheel in is make the mudguard stays for that. And I'm planning to make them more or less as a copy of the C15T ones, but they'll be slightly different because the forks are slightly different. Speaking of forks, you'll see when I put them together, but those forks have really intrigued me. I finally got my big computer back, so I was able to look at all my parts books, because the couple of ones I had available, although I know those forks came out of a TR25W, they weren't like the TR25W forks because the damping was different. TR25W ones has this, looks like a carrot in the bottom. It's a cone. I think I mentioned it before I took them apart because I was expecting to be there. And basically the damper rod, just because it's a cone, gradually it fills the hole in the bottom of the damper rod. But as you saw, we had the full size damper tube and damper rod, which is exactly like the B44. But the bottoms, the B44 has a push through spindle, so one side is just a clamp up and the other side is actually threaded. So if you like, it had TR25W front wheel mountings at the bottom, but B44 forks. Well, when I finally got them back and looked at everything, I think 1968 TR25W had that fork, and then from the parts books they had a different one after that. So there you go. Right, so let's get stuck in. We're going to start at the back and work forward. So rear suspension units first. I actually painted the sort of three parts of the frame, the main loop, the subframe and the swinging arms separately. But now they're put back together with a couple of new bolts and things in. So these are 1/2 inch at the bottom and 3/8 at the top. And I haven't got a 3/8 bolt. Hold on. Right, I've got a couple of bolts now. I've got to put a little bit of grease on the bottom of here, because I had to sand some of the paint off. So this bottom one would fit, so that goes on there. The tops are generally pretty stiff. Brought a couple of blocks of wood over. And then hopefully one of these will go in there. the usual paint thing. I'll tap it through. Don't worry, it's just taking paint off. It's not going to damage the threads. Yeah, it's lined up. There it goes. Takes the paint off. So let me put the one on the other side. Find a couple of nuts for the bottom. Right, so I'm all set to mount my rear mudguard. And what I've actually done here is I've put rubber grommets in. I had a couple of people mention that it's a good idea to mount alloy mudguards on rubber, and the B50 ones were, i.e. the ones I used on the BSA. So what I've done here is put some rubber grommets in. You can get proper ones with steel centers so that you can clamp up on the center, but what I like to do actually is just use rubber grommets, and then when I put the bolts in, I'm going to use the nylock type nuts, because those you can actually tighten up into the nylon locking part so they won't come loose, but you don't have to squish up a locking washer. Well, anyway, as I say, I was going to do this and I suddenly realized I was getting ahead of myself, because I have a whole bunch. Well, the front mounting goes onto what would be the battery carrier there, but also I have a whole bunch of electrical parts that I want to fit into this space. Now I'll be looking at them and I'm going to show you what I've come up with in a minute. This sort of voltage regulator rectifier, as luck would have it, there's a cross piece here which you can't really see, I suppose, but when I offered that up, it goes right where the holes are. So I can put that there, it'll be in the air, be very nice. So that one went there. So let's go and see what I'm doing with all the other ones. Now these three components, obviously that's the ignition coil. This is the exciter box thing for the ignition, and this is, well, it's a capacitor really. They call it their power pack. I could have put a battery on, or I could use this, and they recommend with their generator that you have some little thing to store a bit of power for things like the horn and the rear brake. So rather than get a battery, I got their little power pack. So as I say, I wanted to mount them in the thing. So what I've come up with is this, and I've almost gone wrong on this. This is the battery carrier. Still in view? Yeah, just about. So this is the battery carrier. And I've made up some brackets. I'm going to show you everything in a moment. But when I drilled these three holes, I'd forgotten that the mountings are actually on the tube, little ears on the frame tube, and the frame tube is round. The frame tube is almost touching this center. I got away with it here, but this bottom one was right up against the tube. But I had a thought about that. So let's see what I'm going to do here. So the first thing was, this thing here actually is in a rubber collar that goes onto prongs. So I made up some prongs. They fold over slightly at the end. Now what they're going to do is they're going to go on there. Fiddly little bolts. That in there. It's going to go on there. This is well clear of the seat pillar tube. Uh-oh, threads! Right. Now I've answered this in the comments, but in the last video I made an allusion to a little catchphrase. I've started, so I'll finish, and I said Bamba Gascoigne from University Challenge. But as has been pointed out to me, I was wrong. It wasn't Bamba Gascoigne that said that, it was Magnus Magnusson on Mastermind. Bamba Gascoigne's little phrase, I suppose everybody of a certain age, either in the US or the UK, won't know this. Bamba Gascoigne did University Challenge, and he used to say, "Your starter for 5." So anyway, that bolt's on there. I'm going to open this out a little bit. I'm worried I'm going to keep losing you. Alright, so that bolt's on there. And then that, it's nice and springy, goes on there like that. Then, for the ignition coil, I've made 2 spacers. Because the coil's got to be, see, the mounting is, what's the word I'm looking for? Offset, or whatever you want to say, from the actual body of the coil. Getting near lunchtime, I'm starting to get weak with hunger. My hands are in the way and all sorts of things. That's going to go in there like that. I amazed myself here, measured the holes, marked them out, and bugger me, they were actually in the right place. So that's going to go on there. Actually, these have to go on the other way around. Now I think about it, the bolts. I need the head on this side to miss that tube. But anyway, doesn't matter. You're seeing how these things go on. Alright, so that goes on like that. Now then, this last thing doesn't really have any way of attaching it. So I got thinking about it and I remembered, actually Jensen bought them as part of his project. Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Hold on a second. Got it. It was right where I left it. A terry clip. Or at least when I was a lad in the UK we called them terry clips. So that clicks into there and that holds it nicely, see? And it's got a hole in the back. I opened the hole out to 1/4 inch. And then, as I say, I drilled this one and found it was right up against the tube. So I'm cursing and swearing. I wondered if I could put it on the bottom. But there wasn't, it would just about fit, but there wasn't a lot of space. And I suddenly thought, wait a minute, there's a hole. So what I've done is, God, these bolts are fiddly, these 1/2 inch long bolts. That goes on there. I made a little spacer. Well, actually, it's not going to be a 1/2 inch bolt. But the mounting bolt that goes through there, I've put it on. Oh, this is difficult to show, isn't it? Anyway, that's going to go on there. Right? And then the thing will clip in. So there's all the electricals mounted. So let me go and bolt this thing to the frame and then we'll put the back mudguard on. Now we'll get this bolted on here. I've already put the coil on because it was a little easier to get at. Where am I? Get it to the right blooming things, will be alright. Okay. I'm also going to use lock nuts on these because they're a bit out of the way, so I don't want you don't want to have to be constantly getting in to check these. Suppose I could just turn you off while I bolt this up, couldn't I? Yeah, I'll do that. Now I've got 3 of the 4 mounting bolts in because the 4th one is going to be for this clip. We'll put our little spacing piece on. That in there. Washer. Nut. Okay, there's that. So where's our... So that thing now goes in there like that. And the last little one is this one here. Bit of grease on that. That goes on there. I have to bring it a little bit round to show you this actually. Goes there like that, and that goes on there like that. Alright, so that's all good. Now we can put the mudguard on. So now we can put the mudguard on. Paint, paint, paint. There we go. Actually, these don't need to be anywhere like as long as this, I don't think. Let me see if a shorter bolt will work. So there's the mudguard on. I got away with 3/4 bolts. They're nicely in and they're not sticking out as much. And for here you can't see it, but also I didn't want to put one of the mushroom headed ones on, which I've used here because they look nice, because you wouldn't be able to get at it with the wheel in either way. So I've just used an ordinary bolt, and then you can get a spanner in if you need to take the mudguard off without taking the wheel out. Not that you ever would, but. So what's the next thing? Rear light thing. So the next thing is this to put on. I've split some rubber and put it on to make it a nice fit on there. This rubber tubing I bought some from Master Car, so it would be, and I saw it was nice and soft, so I thought, oh, I'll get some of that. It would be nicer if it was softer. Man, it's murder to try and cut it. Absolute murder. I think I need something longer. Some longer bolts. And I haven't got any more of those countersunk ones. Let's see if the one at the top is long enough. It's with the rubber on now, you see, that's barely sticking through. Oh, what I don't know is that looks too small. Maybe these weren't 1/4 inch. We'll leave that for now because I've got to get some longer countersunk screws. or bolts or whatever you want to call them. But that will go on like that. So let me pull you out. Yeah, it definitely looks best in black, doesn't it? Then I have the piece to put across there. Screw down. So let's leave the back end for now. Oh, I'll tell you what we can do. We can put the side piece on. Now we can put the inner side on this because I can work on the electrics from the oil tank side. So that goes in with a... I just had hold of that bolt. There it is. I was going to say I just grease it. Actually I can screw that in because this is a slot. Screw that in there like that. Then we have one to go on there. Like that. And one to go on. Oh, there's a cross piece goes on this top. So we'll just put the 2 bolts in for now, and that'll do us while I go and find that cross piece. So there it is on from the front, so you can see that piece I put in there. So that's on nicely. Our toolbox lid will go on that. The air filter goes in there when the where is it? When this front piece goes on. And actually that bolts through that one there, so we'll have to take that out. But that goes on there like that. Alright, we've got some work to do on that, which I'll show you later. Now I think when I took these apart, I mentioned a tussle I'd had one time. Well, actually almost every time I bought these. And this, look, is just the perfect example. These are a brand new pair of these. See that? Goes on all the way to the bottom. Starts easily, screws on. Here's the other one of the pair. I can barely... Oh. No, it doesn't want to go any further than that. Which means spending forever scraping in here in that fine thread to get it to go on. So let me go and do that. Now let's see if we can get these yokes in without ball bearings falling all over the floor. So there's the top yoke with all the the top races with all them in. Now let's say the Japanese ones are nice, you put this in and you just put a nut on, but this in, through there, that one to there, and I've put the nut inside the yoke. Oh come on, I just screwed this on here to make sure, there we go. Okay. I've got to get a new one of these nuts, I forgot. go. That's nice. Right, that's that. Next thing to put on, I'm getting grease on everything now, but is the headlamp ears. Now the headlamp ears, or shrouds, or mountings, or whatever you want to call them. So that goes on there like that. Now I've got to find a little something to fit in the top, but the fork is actually quite a close fit in there, so I can't I was going to put rubber around it, but I found that I can't because the actual fork tube won't go through. So anyway, we'll just put this in. Of course we won't tighten this up because it's the actual clamp on the fork tube, so we don't want to do that. That one on that side. That's not grip, by the way, that's paint making that noise. Painting the threads, I should say, as it gets cut out. And the bolts are greased, so everything is fine. Alright, so they're going like that. And I won't put it on now, but I do have a nice little black headlamp to go in there. Okay, now let's see about doing some forks. So here we have everything to put a fork back together. I've already put the oil seal into there. It mentions an O-ring in the book, but there wasn't an O-ring in it, and I really don't see the point of there being an O-ring in there. Oh, hang on, I forgot something. I forgot this thread sealant, which we'll get to shortly. Okay, I think I'll show you the parts book diagrams, but I mentioned that these forks seem strange. All this is exactly B44, but the bottom, as I say, on a B44, one side would be solid and actually threaded, and the other side would just be a pinch bolt. So it's like a hybrid, but as I say, I did find it in the 68 TR25W book. So anyway, what I mentioned was that this one, you see the taper there? That's the part that does our damping, more or less. Whereas in the other forks, in the bottom, there's just, as I say, like a little carrot. I might show you the diagrams. Anyway, as I say, I have put the oil seal in here. So we'll oil that up, oil the lip nicely, because as I mentioned, everything's got to go on from the bottom. So that's going to go on first. Whoop. Then that's going to go on. Then that's going to go on. Then that, which has its little lip at the bottom, so that goes on. Get it on straight. There we go. So that goes on and it hits the lip and it can't go any higher. Then this goes on with its washer, and that holds the bottom bush on. And as I say, in that other type of fork, the little carrot thing goes into the end of there, and because it's tapered, as this moves, the orifice gets to have a larger and a smaller surface area. Right, so let me tighten that in there, and then we'll go to the next bit. Next thing I'm going to do is screw the fork leg on. Now, just to show you how fork technologies come on, in the book originally it said to wrap a piece of twine around there so that when you screw this down it seals it. We're going to go a little bit modern technology, and let me mix this up. This is a thread sealant I bought a while ago, and the reason well, there are two reasons I use this stuff. One is it doesn't set up hard, so in other words it doesn't glue that onto there. And the other thing is, this is the only sealant I've found. It's called gas oiler, and it's actually petrol resistant. Diesel, oil and petrol resistant. So we're going to put a bit of that. Yeah, we got some alright. We're just going to put a bit of that on that thread. And that will do us fine. With this very fine thread, I didn't want to put PTFE tape on because I didn't know if there'd be enough space. But this stuff, of course, will just squeeze out if need be. So there's that in there. Clean the excess off. And now we can put that what I'll do. I'll just put a drop of oil on each bush, just help slide them in. So that's going to go into there. This is the one actually that I've just spent nearly an hour with a pick and a little round rotary wire brush cleaning up the threads in here. When I ran the pick through, it was picking up little bits of sort of filings and all sorts of things and little rough edges. And as you can see now, it actually threads. Doesn't go on as well as the other one does. So now I'm going to put this in the vise to hold it and then use the tool. And I'll just show you doing it with the actual tool. You see it now catches. Actually, take this. This was put on to protect this while I was trying to clean up the threads. Let's see. Where's my towel? There we go. There we go. You're wondering how I've got this gripped. It's where are we? Actually wrapped in an old rubber glove to protect it from the jaws. So, finish cleaning that up. Then, you see all the forks? No. Hang on, let me move you around. Next thing is the actual damping part. Now, you remember the problem we had getting the bolt out of there, and I said there's this small alloy sealing washer. Fortunately, the manual gave the dimensions, so I made up a couple. So that goes in there. I've got all the necessary clips on to hold it together. Right to the bottom. Let me walk round. I'm going to walk in front of you, excuse me. Put a bit of grease on that as well. It is snowing / raining outside. I'll just get that nice and tight. Don't think I've forgotten the spring. The spring is an external one, it goes out there. So we can put this one on the bike. Well, I just had an unexpected delay there. I spent 10 minutes looking for the fork springs. Then I remembered I'd put them in the degreasing bath. Alright, I've put the gaiters on. These are really nice gaiters. They're the proper gaiters because, I suppose I should have shown you, there's the bottom of this, there's a lip, and this gaiter actually has a groove in it for the lip to fit in. So that's nice. Right, so let's see, what have we got? This is the one that goes here. That goes in there. Up. And then we use our tool to go down there and screw in. This is one of those jobs where you've sort of got to hold the fork up, and it gets heavy after a while when you don't. I'm going to switch you off while I get this started. Right, I got it started. Okay. Now we tighten down that. Got to put a little handle on that. Weld a little handle on. Because at the moment I've got to do it with a spanner. I think we need a little something to balance this. Hold on. Right, suitable with a bit of wood jammed in. Well, I'm going to get in front of you, whatever happens. What am I doing? That's it. This is such a handy tool. I'm really glad I made one. I made one for the Triumph forks as well. See, it's fine when I've been fiddling on with trials bikes because, you know, I don't have headlamp ears. I can grab hold of the forks and pull them up. But when you can't get hold of them, this is a clever little doodad. Tell you what, I'll switch it off again. So now I've got it pulled all the way up to the top. I'm going to give a little bit of a tighten on the pinch bolt. Got to remember I need some longer bolts for that. And then slacken that off because it acts as a bit of a lock nut. And screw the tool out. And we have the fiddly bit to do with these type of forks because we've got to fish out that damping rod and screw it into the top nut. Along those pliers. Yeah, it's just there. There it is. Oh, can you see that? Just hang on. Oop. These actually cleaned. I think because it's been painted, they must have been painted early in their life. I scraped the yellow paint off, just came off with my fingernail because they'd never, fortunately, they hadn't roughed up the chrome. And they're quite nice. Okay. So now, well, that's a BSC nut. BSC nut. That one. Yep. So we screw that up to lock the rod into the top nut, like that. And again, I haven't forgotten oil, but you may remember I like to do all the oils together at the end. That way I don't have to think which bit I've done and which bit I haven't done. Now I don't think I need a little piece in here. I think when the headlight's in, everything's going to be held nicely. Is that screwing in there? No. So it seemed to be going for a hell of a long time with nothing happening. That feels better. And this you can tighten up nicely, of course, because the stanchion is being clamped in the bottom yoke. Now, I won't do it too tight because it's going to come back out. There we have it. So I just pull the gator down and we're ready to go. So let me put the other one in. Right, so there's our forks in. And if any of you were wondering why I didn't use the pinch bolt to hold the stanchion while I was trying to get the tool into it, you may remember that the stanchion is actually a larger diameter just where the bottom yoke is. So when you're putting it up, that larger diameter piece is down here and you can't clamp up on the smaller diameter part above it. So anyway, there they are all together. So the next thing to do, I think, is put some wheels in. Right, well, I'll put the wheels in, as you can see, because I wanted to get to rolling chassis and make sure everything fitted and the brakes went together and everything like that. I didn't go into building the wheels because these hubs with the straight spokes and the way the hubs are drilled, honestly, it was just too easy. It took me about 15 minutes a wheel to actually spoke them up, because you dropped the spoke in. Yeah, you didn't have to worry about inner and outer. You dropped the spoke in and it pointed right to the right hole in the rim, so I was really pleased with that. But, and I did mean to write this down so I could tell you which episodes there were. There are 2 episodes in building the BM250, the B25 Trials bike, where I go through everything. different types of hubs, different types of spokes, different types of rims, how to lace it up, how to true it, everything you need to know for those people who haven't watched all the videos. So in the description I'll put down which episodes they are so you can go back and look to them. This is as much as I can get done this week, and I've got to where I want it to be, i.e. rolling chassis. So next week we'll put the headlight in and all that. I've got a switch for that. We'll finish off the bit of body work, if you like, that needs to be done here. As I say, I'm going to fill a hole in this centre plate here, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. Then all these pieces have got to be painted black and have the decals put on, and then they can be put on. We'll probably look at the saddle, and I might even do some wiring, because there's not a lot of wiring involved, and we can do that while I'm still sorting things out with the engine. Then we'll do the engine. So as I say, that's it for now. You take care and enjoy yourselves.